Welcome to Episode 4 of Ancient Dilemma. Today we journey across the globe and through the ages to explore 10 astonishing ancient tombs and burials that conceal shocking secrets. These aren't your typical textbook tombs. Each site on our list has yielded unexpected discoveries, little-known facts, or recent revelations that have left archaeologists awestruck. From imperial trap-filled mausoleums in China to sacrificial burial pits in ancient America. Prepare for a cinematic tour of hidden chambers and long-lost mysteries. If you enjoy unraveling history's secrets, subscribe now for new episodes daily. Now, let's unlock some tomb doors. 1. The sealed mausoleum of China's first emperor, Qin Shi Huang, 210 BC. The largest tomb complex in China belongs to Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor who unified China in 221 BC. Buried beneath a 250-foot-tall mound, this mausoleum remains unopened to this day, and not without reason. Ancient records by the historian Sima Qian claim the emperor's underground palace was a deadly marvel. Booby-trapped crossbows primed to shoot intruders, and rivers of liquid mercury flowing through a scaled map of his empire. Indeed, modern scientists have detected unusually high mercury levels in the burial mound's soil, lending credence to the old tales. The account also describes a star-studded ceiling and an eternal flame fueled by manfish oil, illuminating a world complete with scenic towers and treasures. Most macabre of all, Qin Shi Huang's secrets were sealed in blood. After the emperor's interment, childless concubines were reportedly killed to accompany him, and artisans who built the tomb's mechanical traps were entombed alive so none could divulge its design today. Rows of terracotta warriors stand guard in pits around the tomb, but the central burial chamber remains untouched. Archaeologists fear what opening it might unleash, from toxic mercury vapors to cultural heritage damage. 2. KV5, the lost labyrinth of Pharaoh's sons, Egypt, 13th century BC. In 1995, a routine remapping in Egypt's Valley of the Kings led to a stunning discovery. Tomb Cave 5, a long-forgotten mausoleum of the sons of Pharaoh Ramesses II. Archaeologist Kent Weeks crawled through a sand-choked passage expecting a dead end, only to emerge into a vast corridor lined with doorways. A hidden labyrinth unlike any tomb seen before. As Weeks's flashlight revealed chamber after chamber, it became clear KV5 was the largest tomb ever found in Egypt, with over 120 rooms spreading out in a unique T-shaped layout. This sprawling catacomb, just yards from King Tut's tiny tomb, had been dismissed as unimportant and used as a dump by earlier excavators, which is why its true extent remained hidden for millennia. Inside, archaeologists uncovered finely carved wall reliefs showing Ramesses II presenting his myriad sons to the gods, with names and titles inscribed in hieroglyphs. Thousands of artifacts littered the chambers. Faience beads, shabti figurines, fragments of sarcophagi and canopic jars, and even a statue of Osiris still standing watch. Scattered bones and mummified remains attested that dozens of Ramesses' sons, perhaps over 50 princes in all, were interred here in a single giant family mausoleum. KV5 had been hit by ancient tomb robbers and flash floods, but its scale and contents were a revelation, rewriting what we knew about the burial practices of Egypt's greatest dynasty. Lost for over 3,000 years and found literally beneath tourists' feet, KV5 remains one of Egypt's most astonishing tombs, a city of the dead built for a king's children. 3. Ur's Royal Death Pits, Mesopotamia, 2500 BC. Nearly a century ago, archaeologist Sir Leonard Woolley excavated a site in southern Iraq that yielded some of the most spectacular and chilling burials ever found. at the Royal Cemetery of Ur, dating to approximately 2500 BC in ancient Sumer. Woolley uncovered tombs of immense wealth that rivaled even King Tut's in splendor. One tomb, PG 800, belonged to a woman identified by a cylinder seal as Queen Puabi, and the scene within was astonishing. Puabi's skeleton lay on a bier, decked head to toe in ornate jewelry. Hundreds of gold, silver, and lapis lazuli beads and pendants were arranged exactly as they had adorned her body. On her head rested an elaborate golden headdress of leaves and rosettes. At her shoulder, 3 lapis lazuli seals named her Puabi Queen, implying she may have ruled in her own right. Yet the glitter of Puabi's grave goods pales beside the grim retinue that accompanied her. Inside her burial chamber were the remains of 3 attendants, servants who had been interred alongside their queen, presumably sacrificed to serve her in the afterlife. Just outside, Woolley found a large death pit packed with the skeletons of 21 additional court servants, ladies-in-waiting, grooms, guards, even oxen that had pulled a funerary cart. These individuals were richly dressed and adorned for a final royal banquet in death. Some surrounded by lyres, harp instruments, cups, and bowls, as if caught in the middle of Puabi's eternal funeral ceremony. One such pit at Ur, the so-called Great Death Pit, contained 74 sacrificed attendants in a single burial, indicating an astonishing level of human sacrifice for the royal funerals. The royal cemetery's opulent treasures, golden lyre instruments, the famed standard of Ur mosaic, ram-shaped figurines in gold and lapis, were paired with this macabre ritual of mass death. It's a startling window into early Mesopotamian beliefs. A royal send-off in which an entire court went to the grave with their king or queen, willingly or not, to serve in the next world. The death pits of Ur remain among the most shocking tomb discoveries ever made. 4. The temple tomb of Pakal the Great, Maya, AD 683. In 1952, deep in the rainforests of Chiapas, Mexico, archaeologists unlocked a stone slab in Palenque's Temple of the Inscriptions and gasped as a secret stairway descended into darkness. At its end lay the undisturbed tomb of Kuinich Janab Pakal. Pakal the Great, a mighty Maya king. Sealed for over 1,200 years, Pakal's burial chamber was a site of legend. A massive monolithic sarcophagus lid, weighing 7 tons, covered the king's stone coffin. Carved in exquisite detail, the lid's imagery showed King Pakal at the moment of his cosmic rebirth. The king is depicted as if falling into the jaws of the underworld, or ascending a sacred world tree surrounded by celestial symbols. This single artwork has sparked wild, ancient astronaut theories by those who mistook the carving for a man in a spaceship. But Maya scholars read it as Pakal journeying to the afterlife amid the cosmos. Inside the sarcophagus, archaeologists found Pakal's skeletal remains adorned in magnificent jade regalia, including a jade mosaic funerary mask, rings, necklaces, and a breastplate of carved jade tiles. The walls of the chamber bore hieroglyphic texts recounting Pakal's ancestry and achievements, and the sides of his sarcophagus were carved with his ancestors sprouting as fruit-bearing trees, signifying royal lineage and resurrection. Notably, the tomb's construction itself was a secret marvel. Pakal had planned his pyramid as his mausoleum, so the tomb was built first, and then the pyramid temple erected above it. The giant sarcophagus lid never could have been brought through the passage after completion. To this day, Pakal's tomb stands as the richest Maya burial ever found in Mesoamerica. Its discovery revealed not only treasures, but a profound theological secret of Maya kingship. The idea that a dead ruler transforms into a god? returning to sustain his people like a living tree. Sealed by the ancient Maya to remain intact forever, Pakal's resting place is now preserved as a national treasure. The sarcophagus lid was carefully resealed over his coffin in 2010, continuing to inspire awe at the artistry and ritual hidden within a seemingly solid pyramid. 5. The Lord of Sipán, a royal tomb of unprecedented riches, Peru, AD 250. In 1987, near the village of Sipán on Peru's arid north coast, archaeologists led by Walter Alva made a discovery hailed as the Tutankhamun of the Americas. Excavating a Moche culture pyramid, they uncovered the intact tomb of a warrior priest now known as the Lord of Sipán. For over 1,700 years, this tomb had escaped looters, and when its contents were slowly revealed, the spectacle was breathtaking. The Lord of Sipán's remains, buried around AD 250, were found draped in 13 layers of exquisite textiles and surrounded by gleaming gold and silver ornaments. He wore a large golden crown and a gold helmet, a heavy gold backflap on his lower back, necklaces of gold and silver peanuts, half the peanuts in gold, half in silver, perhaps symbolizing the balance of sun and moon. Intricate pectorals and ear spools, and a gold chin mask, all attesting to his high rank. Beside him lay a ceremonial golden rattle and war shield. This trove was so rich that one archaeologist exclaimed it was the richest tomb ever excavated in the Western Hemisphere. Yet the treasure was only part of the story. The tomb also contained a human entourage in death. The Lord of Sipán, a man about 35 years old, was buried with the skeletons of at least 5 other humans, 3 young women, perhaps wives or concubines, at his sides, a military guard at his head, whose feet were amputated to prevent him from leaving the grave, and another male, possibly a watcher, at his feet. There were also 2 llamas and a dog sacrificed and interred in the chamber. The Moche culture's practice was to send their elite to the afterlife with a full retinue. As excavations continued, archaeologists found 2 additional tombs above the lords. One of a high-status Moche priestess, nicknamed the priestess of Sipán, and another of a warrior, possibly the lord's successor, each accompanied by more sacrificial victims and treasures, turning the site into a royal cemetery spanning generations. Beyond the sheer opulence, Sipán's tombs held shocking secrets of technology and trade. Among the artifacts were tiny gold and gemstone figures crafted with astonishing precision. One carved warriors-on-shell scene was so detailed it required microscopy to fully appreciate. Metallurgists were stunned to find Moche artisans had mastered electrochemical plating. Several copper artifacts were plated with gold, a technique not seen in Europe until 1,000 years later. Chemical analyses of the metals and gemstones revealed trade connections spanning the Andes. Gold from distant highlands, lapis lazuli from Chile, and turquoise from what is now Argentina. These finds challenged prior assumptions, proving that this pre-Inca civilization was far more advanced and far-reaching than once thought. Thanks to the Lord of Sipán's tomb, unearthed just steps ahead of looters, we now know the Moche were capable of extraordinary artistry and ritual complexity, burying their lords in glittering glory to shock the world centuries later. 6. The Wari Queens of Huarmey, a secret Andean mausoleum, Peru, AD 750. In 2013, atop a flat-topped pyramid at El Castillo de Huarmey in coastal Peru, archaeologists broke through 30 tons of stone and entered a sealed world untouched for 1,200 years. Hidden inside was the only unlooted royal tomb of the Wari Empire. And what they found rewrote Andean history. 3 noble women, likely queens or high priestesses, sat upright on carved wooden thrones, wrapped in fine cloth, draped in gold ear ornaments and necklaces. Around them were 52 other noble women, carefully entombed, and 6 more female servants lay face down on the tomb floor, unwrapped and hurriedly sacrificed, likely as the tomb was sealed. This was no ordinary burial. It was a royal mausoleum for powerful Wari women, filled with over 1,200 artifacts. Bronze axes, painted ceramics, inlaid silver bowls, and ritual vessels from across the empire. Most revealing were the gold spindles and weaving tools, suggesting these women weren't just royalty, but master weavers. In Wari society, textiles were political power and weaving was sacred. Years later, another chamber was uncovered just below, a hidden workshop of elite craftsmen, likely attached to the royal court. This discovery added another layer. Wari royalty lived with their artisans, weaving culture, governance, and ritual into one elite household. The queen's tomb of Huarmey revealed more than treasure. It proved that women in the Wari Empire held true authority, spiritual, political, and artistic. For 12 centuries, this chamber lay silent beneath rubble. When it finally spoke, it told the story of a forgotten dynasty led by women, buried in glory and shadow. 7. The Griffin Warrior Tomb, a Mycenaean mystery hoard. Greece, 1450 BC. In 2015, archaeologists unearthed an undisturbed tomb near Pylos, Greece, in a simple olive grove. What they found shocked the world. A Bronze Age warrior buried with over 3,500 artifacts, untouched for 3,500 years. Nicknamed the Griffin Warrior for an ivory plaque above his remains, the man was 30 to 35 years old, possibly a ruler. But it was the wealth surrounding him that stunned historians. Gold signet rings, bronze swords, Minoan-style jewelry, mirrors, ivory combs, and hundreds of beads in amber, carnelian, and gold. At his feet lay the Pylos combat agate, a gem just 3.6 centimeters wide, engraved with a battle scene so intricate, it reveals individual muscles and armor patterns visible only under magnification. How artisans achieved such detail 3,500 years ago remains a mystery. Some believe rock crystal lenses may have helped. Many artifacts reflected Minoan influence from Crete, despite being found on the Greek mainland. This suggests the Griffin Warrior lived during a pivotal era, when Mycenaean Greeks were absorbing Minoan culture, blending myth, religion, and art to forge what would become the roots of Western civilization. His burial wasn't just a treasure trove, it was a bridge between worlds. The Griffin Warrior's tomb offers rare evidence of a leader at the heart of cultural transformation, buried like a prince, but remembered as a symbol of 2 great ancient traditions merging. 8. Mound 72 at Cahokia, an American mass sacrifice, USA, AD 1050. Near modern-day St. Louis lies Mound 72, a burial site in ancient Cahokia, once the largest city in pre-Columbian North America. Excavated in the 1970s, it revealed one of the continent's most chilling archaeological finds: mass human sacrifice. At the center was the grave of a powerful chief, nicknamed the Birdman, laid atop 20,000 shell beads arranged in the shape of a falcon. But surrounding him were over 270 individuals, many of whom were clearly sacrificed. One chamber held 53 young women, neatly laid in 2 layers, with no wounds except signs of strangulation. They appeared sedated or ritually killed, possibly brought from outside communities as human tribute. Another pit contained 39 men and women, violently executed, some beheaded, others thrown in with broken bones, suggesting they were captives or dissenters. Above them, 15 elite individuals were buried ceremonially, closing the chapter in a dynastic tomb. Chemical analysis revealed clear social stratification. Nutrition and origin differed sharply between the ruler and the victims. This discovery shattered previous ideas of Cahokia as purely ceremonial. It revealed a society capable of organized, ritual death on a massive scale, echoing practices seen centuries later among the Natchez and other regional tribes. Mound 72 stands today not just as a burial, but as stark evidence of power, sacrifice, and belief in ancient America. 9. The Siberian Ice Maiden, frozen in time, Altai Mountains, 5th century BC. In 1993, archaeologists in Siberia's Altai Mountains uncovered a stunning burial. The Siberian Ice Maiden, a 2,400-year-old mummy from the Pazyryk culture, preserved perfectly in permafrost. Her skin, clothing, and even tattoos survived, including intricate deer and griffin-like creatures etched in indigo on her shoulder. Buried in imported Chinese silk, a tall feathered headdress, and surrounded by 6 sacrificial horses in full ceremonial gear, she likely held elite or priestess status. Wooden bowls nearby still held a last meal of meat and herbs, remarkably intact. Forensic studies later showed she suffered from breast cancer, making her one of the oldest known cases in history. While scientists hailed her as a breakthrough in archaeology and medicine, local Altai people demanded her return, seeing her as sacred. Today, she rests in a climate-controlled museum in Gorno-Altaysk, a symbol of cultural tension and frozen time. The Ice Maiden remains one of the world's most haunting mummies, her story etched in tattoos, myth, and frost. 10. The Amphipolis Tomb, mystery of a forgotten royal. Greece, 4th century BC. Discovered in 2014 in northern Greece, the Kasta tomb near Amphipolis is the largest ancient burial ever found in the country. Built during the era of Alexander the Great, surrounded by a towering marble wall over 500 feet wide, the tomb's scale alone hints at royalty. Guarded by 2 headless sphinx statues, the inner passage leads to a chamber flanked by caryatid columns. Elegant stone women serving as protectors of the dead. Deeper inside lies a remarkable mosaic of Hades abducting Persephone, possibly symbolizing royal descent into the underworld. Inside the sealed chamber, archaeologists found remains of 5 individuals, including an older woman, 2 adult men, a child, and cremated fragments. The identities remain unknown, but scholars speculate the tomb could belong to Olympias, Alexander's powerful mother, or even his companion Hephaestion, whose monogram was found nearby. What makes this tomb so puzzling is its combination of grandeur and secrecy. Though clearly royal in scale, it was later backfilled and hidden, as if erased from memory. Ongoing forensic testing continues, but for now, the Kasta tomb remains a royal riddle, a monument built to impress the gods and possibly meant to keep its secrets buried forever. These 10 cases are just a glimpse of the many tombs around the world, holding shocking secrets. From hidden booby traps and sacrificed souls to artistic wonders and historical riddles. Such discoveries remind us how much of our past still lies buried, waiting for the right moment or person to unveil it. Thanks for joining Ancient Dilemma on this journey through hidden chambers and ancient mysteries. Subscribe and stay tuned for another deep dive tomorrow.